Next on BYUSN, does it matter what seed men's hoops gets in the West Coast Conference Tournament?
And there's a new NCAA rule that's allowing men's and women's basketball staffs to expand. How should BYU take advantage of the change?
They certainly should. Welcome to BYU Sports Nation, presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. It is Thursday, February 23rd. I am Jarom Jordan. He is Dave McCann on this final weekend of West Coast Conference regular season hoops. What seed is everybody getting?
Yeah, it's that time of year. It's usually a magical time of year. It's not that magical around here, the way that things have gone.
Perhaps it's a magical ending. We'll see what BYU can produce.
There's always a chance, and typically BYU's on the other side of that. They know who they are, they know what they are, and they know where they're going. This is the kind of year where it's like, you're going to need some magic, and then maybe live that other side of March Madness of the underdog, instead of the team that's getting beat.
We're not used to this, And women's hoops certainly has a big weekend coming up. Men's hoops doesn't play tonight, but has a big game Saturday that they need to win.
And we got like a foot of snow here, maybe more than that.
We got dumped on quite a bit.
The baseball and softball teams are going to try to have home games in 2 weeks. On the drive-in today, you're looking around going, maybe in a month and a half. That's kind of.
I'm calling an outdoor rugby game Saturday. In Utah. So we'll see what that looks like.
Are we going to plow the field?
It's artificial turf, so they'll figure it out. Yeah.
Anyway, we're in the dead of winter up here. I was in Vegas yesterday. It's no warmer down there.
Just snow.
But March Madness is coming. That all warms us up. And on today's show, we're going to talk with our BYU basketball analyst, Mark Durrant, on this big weekend for BYU, Saturday with San Francisco and then Vegas next week. Jason Shepard's on the road with the baseball team. They're in warmer climates.
Is that where he went?
That's where he went. Big expectations for Keaton Slovis. Wait till you see the stat that we show you a bit later on. And the alternate Cougar tale makes a return. Here are today's headlines.
Women's hoops, so second place Portland tonight, 9 Eastern, big game. Cougars in fourth, hoping to stay in the top 4, avoid going to that 5 seed. 9 Eastern on BYUtv and the app. Gonzaga coming into town Saturday afternoon to close out the regular season. Senior day. The Cougars lost 67-45 to the Pilots back on December 19th. That feels like a million years ago.
Congrats to Ed Eyestone. He's the 2023 MPSF Men's and Women's Coach of the Year. He's now won this award 5 times with the men, 6 with the women. Danny Bryant also named the Men's Athlete of the Meet for his efforts to become a back-to-back champion in the shot put.
We're talking indoor track, baby. BYU Baseball loses 4-3 to the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns, one of the best nicknames in college sports, in Game 1 of the 4-game series. Game 2 tonight, 7 Eastern on the BYU radio app.
They had that game last night up 3-1, bottom of the 8th. Got to close it. Softball takes its 6-game winning streak into the Mary Nutter Cathedral City Collegiate Classic in Palm Springs, where it's warmer. The Cougars play 2 games today. Number 24, Missouri, and they'll play Texas A&M later tonight. Some big names ahead of a Big 12 schedule next season.
Spencer spent 3 years in Palm Springs. He knows all about that spot. And then the XFL, former Cougar Tijon Karoma, who is stronger than you and I, Dave, combined.
Oh, yeah.
And the Seattle Sea Dragons play the St. Louis Battlehawks tonight at 9 Eastern.
The Sea Dragons and the Battlehawks.
Yes, the Fighting Trogdors of Seattle. People have asked me, are you a Sea Dragons fan? I am not.
How can you not be a Sea Dragons fan?
Generally, Sea Dragons, yes. The Seattle Sea Dragons and the XFL, no.
What's the hockey team? What's their...
It's the Kraken.
The Kraken. Everything's from the sea over there.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the sound over there, which is fun. All rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending.
Oh, spectacular! Rudy for 3. Good! For Jackson Robinson. Smooth shooting. Down to 2, down to 1, down for 3. Yes! BYU's coming back!
That's what we hope. Saturday night against San Francisco and in Vegas. Tonight marks the beginning of a slew of West Coast Conference games. In the final week, seating up for grabs all over the place. Cougs don't play tonight in men's hoops. They do play Saturday against San Francisco. So, Dave, does it matter what seed BYU has going into the West Coast Conference Tournament? Currently sitting in 7th place.
We've sat on this show years before with different seedings and opportunities, and it used to be, well, they're not going to have to show up till the semifinals, so here's what needs to happen. Or, okay, they're going to get to the semifinals, so they don't want to play until Saturday in the second round or quarterfinals, really show up in the quarterfinals because of this map that we march out for them. This year, I think it's just play as many games as you can. And if you just get to keep playing, that means good things are happening. So I don't think so. As a BYU TV fan, if they play in the first round, they play on BYU TV. And then
Thursday?
if they win, they'll play on BYU TV again on Friday. And so as a BYU TV fan, I'd love that. As a BYU fan, I don't want to be on Thursday. I just want to be on Friday so that I'm not in the group of the worst. But BYU's right there on the edge. So it's a whole different conversation this year.
Yeah, I'm not sure it matters, although playing on Thursday is pathetic. It just is. We've been in that tournament, you and I and Blaine and others, since BYU, even before they even got in the league. We were there back in 2011. And being the 7th seed would just be terrible. But the positives, like you said, are, well, there's more games to win. If BYU's playing Pepperdine again, hey, that's a Pepperdine team that beat you a couple weeks before, but it's neutral court. And then you kind of slide up that side of the bracket. I would prefer that BYU is on the top side, meaning that they can get to LMU in the quarters, because a matchup with LMU is more favorable than one with Santa Clara. Santa Clara is really good. They're not going to make the tourney good, but I would like to avoid being on that 7-10, 6-3 side. I would prefer BYU be on that. Be the 5 somehow, and then play the 4 LMU should they win that game against the 8-9. That is where you want to be. Looking through all the scenarios, if BYU clearly has to beat San Francisco to better itself.
Right.
If BYU wins on Saturday, they probably will be the 5 or 6 seed. Now, the 5 different than the 6, again, on what side of the bracket you're on. But I don't see a situation where BYU can drop to as low as 8, by the way, because they have tiebreakers over Pacific and Portland. Pacific is going to lose to St. Mary's tonight. And then Portland and San Francisco are interesting because it's Pacific, Portland, San Francisco, BYU, all within a game of each other in spots 5 through 8 at the moment. So certainly win Saturday, and you avoid being in the 7-10 spot in all likelihood. But if you can get to as high as the 5, and it's complicated in the tiebreaker, by the way, with San Francisco, should they beat Portland tonight? I'm anticipating San Francisco will beat Portland tonight. Right. Because it goes head-to-head. They will have split. And then you go record versus 1, and then you look 2, St. Mary's, and so on. They would be the same as what I'm seeing. So it'd go to net. And right now they're divided by 15 spots, BYU 94, San Francisco 109. You got to win Saturday. Then you're probably higher than San Francisco. You probably get that tiebreaker. And perhaps you're as high as the 5. And then, Dave, you've got a chance to beat an 8-9 team, play LMU, which you crushed at home, lost a while back by 5 in L.A., and now you're at least in the quarters with the chance to maybe be interested, right? Or, sorry, the semis. Yep. No, the semis on Monday. So can BYU win on Friday, win on Saturday, and then, okay, yeah, they won 2. They're making a little run here. And now you match up in the semis with, unfortunately, a top dog in St. Mary's.
The strange thing about this team is in the lower group, no one's afraid of BYU. And so no one's going to go, oh, they're not on their own shows. If they had their own show, they'd go, okay, we got to avoid BYU.
Nation, yeah.
But then you get into the upper group, and BYU didn't compete very well against Santa Clara. But they went toe-to-toe with St. Mary's and Gonzaga 4 times.
Isn't that weird?
And so if you can get out of the weeds and somehow get to Monday, now you're playing teams that are leery of you because you've exposed them. Yep. And it's just a matter of, on a particular day, can BYU finish in a big game, which they haven't been able to do.
Yes.
So, but down here in the weeds where everyone's the same, it's interesting, BYU competes better up here than they do down here.
Get up for the big game.
Including Saturday, because that's a bad matchup for BYU, San Francisco. If Shabazz comes in feeling it, as he has before, it could be a track meet. BYU didn't play very well down there at San Francisco. I would think they would win here at home. But over the years, what teams come to Provo fearless against BYU? More so than
only UVU in 2016.
San Francisco.
Yeah. And this year.
The Zags and the Gales have come in with expectations, but the Dons don't come in with fear like some of these other teams. LMU came in with fear and got beat by 29 points.
Yeah, it was crazy. In these close games this year, by the way, let's call a close game a single-digit game, a 3-score game, if you will. You can knock a couple threes down. BYU 6-11 in those games this year, and it's tough. And they've lost the last 7 of those, which has been really, really tough to swallow. So. Huge game Saturday. Obviously got to win on senior night. By the way, Rudy Williams and Gideon George will be the 2 seniors honored. That doesn't mean guys won't either transfer or just call it. We anticipate they're here until they're not. But we look forward to kind of what that looks like in the offseason. But, hey, there's ball to be played and tournament seeding to be figured out.
Everyone's got a chance. This year maybe is the year we embrace March Madness as an underdog, overachieving in this tournament.
A new angle.
As opposed
one that
to
we will get
dog.
used to next year.
Yeah.
Which is, hey, can we go to next year at this time? We'll be saying, can we go to Kansas City and win a game?
Right.
Can we win a game to perhaps be on the bubble or something, right? That's the hope.
Yeah, and then someday, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, as the program builds itself, it'll be okay. We got what day are we going to play Kansas? We don't want to play Kansas until Saturday, so it's Oklahoma State, then Baylor, and then West Virginia, with an opportunity to go to win those games.
Yeah,
we're not there yet.
Saturday's the title game.
But hey, yeah, but we'll be going. Hey, what side's Kansas on? When are we going to play them? Whereas right now and next year it'll be okay. Let's just hope for the best.
Let's win a game.
Let's win a game.
To me, that's the hope next year.
All right. Also on our minds today, where should BYU take advantage of the new rule that allows you to add 2 more assistants to the men's and women's basketball staffs? Now, they're assistants that aren't allowed to recruit off of campus, but they can do everything else.
I almost wonder if you get a recruiting coordinator on campus. You can work with the coaches who go out and talk to them, but recruiting's just such a big deal. To me, that's the single biggest reason for the demise of the men's basketball team this year. Did not recruit enough good players. NIL has a big thing to do with that. Right. I know the Royal Blue Collective, Cougar Connect, and others are working hard.
But they're starting
to make that more attractive.
Just at the start.
Yes, they're getting into that, which is great, these collectives. Because that matters. You can't even get in the door with some of these guys. Nick Robinson has said, hey, there are certain players that we're going after that are Big 12 starter good, that their starting amount per year is $150 to $350. So you have to have that in pocket, unless you're just going to be ballers on a budget forever, which is sort of how BYU rolls. But it doesn't have to be that way if you don't want it to be, right? So, and then a straight basketball dude would be good. We were talking, I agree with you this morning, probably offense. Defensively, BYU's been really good this year, 36th right now. Obviously, a couple of lapses the last couple weeks. But the last 4 years defensively, all 97.2 or less, which is some of the best defenses BYU's had in the last 20 years. Offensively, this is the worst season by far in the last 4. 106.5 offensive rating compared to 110, 113, 116 previous 3. Got to have better offense. So someone on the offensive side of the ball, an offensive coordinator, if you will.
Like a Dave Rice, somebody that can come in and
you would play the Vegas card there. I see that.
And he's available. But somebody like that, where you can go, hey, we need to get better. That doesn't mean I got to unload people. Let me add some of the right guys.
Yes.
And it's interesting with basketball and football. In football this last season, it was the defense. And so what did Kalani do, and what did he have to do? He changed out his defensive staff. He had to change the whole mantra of the defense. And once he did that, Cougar Nation kind of got back in line with optimism to where they celebrated the arrival of the Big 12 schedule, which is going to be tough. But they got a couple of right pieces in the portal. They made the tough changes he had to make in the offseason. And fans just want to know we're going in the right direction, right? Boosters want to know, hey, I'm going to back you with my money. I just need to know you're going this way. And so basketball's problem this year has been offense, not defense. And here comes the opportunity to fix that. And I think that's on Mark Pope and the others to go, what are we going to do to get better? Here's an opportunity where the NCAA is saying, you can add 2 assistants if you want. At BYU, be wise to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we anticipate they will. Regarding the football changes, remember, it's hard. Sometimes you have to do this. BYU changed the offensive staff. BYU fired a Heisman Trophy winner here. Yeah. Like, it had to be done. And BYU got Zach Wilson. And it triggered the next gen of BYU football's resurrection of 2020, 21, 22. Wasn't quite what we wanted, but it wasn't terrible. 8-5 is good, right? And you're producing 2 NFL quarterbacks in a row. Because Aaron Roderick is the key to this whole thing. And Fesi Sitake and Steve Clark and those guys, you have to make tough decisions sometimes. Perhaps men's basketball has to make tough decisions in the offseason. I'm not sure what that looks like for them. but certainly they have to get better because the Big 12's looming. If you're sitting in 7th place going into the last weekend in the WCC, the Big 12 is a little intimidating, and you start getting a little sweaty. But BYU is capable of going in the league with a few other pieces. Again, BYU's not far off this year in terms of margin of loss and good defense. They just need a little bit better offense and maybe a couple of pieces. You get Trevin Nell back for a full year.
And a giant center.
You need, okay, you walked into the season with 2 bigs. That was an issue no matter how good those bigs are.
And these 2 happen to be super young with great potential. And that was it.
Yes. And I still hope Atiki is kind of the backup center because I think he can be a really good backup. Foose needs to play the 4, not the 5 for BYU.
Sure.
Next year, if Foose is the 5, BYU's in trouble.
Yeah.
They got to bring somebody else in. So we'll see what BYU adds in terms of those assistants, which, by the way, that can be added July 1st. Sounds like. Shout out to Robbie McCombs.
There's a lot going down on July 1st.
There's a lot going down, yeah. A lot of,
It's a big day to expand a whole lot of things.
4th of July parties. Stadium of Fire is always big for you.
Yeah.
That's a big week.
It's going to be awesome. And one thing that you said that coaches will always say when it comes down to it, players win the games.
Yeah.
And so in the recruiting, you get better players.
Yep. I think
going into a better league, you need better players.
For BYU to make the NCAA tournament next year, I feel like BYU has to get 2.5 more players better than anyone on the roster.
Yeah.
That's the kind of upgrade we're talking about.
To go where we all want to go.
I say 2.5 because I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3. Our question of the day is this. Does it matter what seed BYU basketball has going into the West Coast Conference Tournament, which, by the way, will be live from Vegas coming up starting next Thursday in a week from now. Tyler and I are going down for the final hurrah. It'll be fun. Okay, Nate on Twitter. Just Nate Dog. No. They have to pull off a miracle wherever they are seated. It's true. If they go all the way up to the 5, same sort of idea, which is, hey, got to win a few games. And I don't know that the NIT's within BYU's grasp that much unless they upset a St. Mary's or a Gonzaga in the semis and you get to the title game. Then maybe, but let's be honest. Let's just hope BYU gets through that first game and then the second game and then see where we're going.
They haven't been playing good. So let's start with a good game on Saturday.
Win a game Saturday.
And then just try to put another one together.
Yep. Continue to weigh in on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
As far as big games go, here's the big one tonight. BYU women taking on Portland. Pilots beat them earlier in the season. Pilots have locked up the 2 seed for Vegas. BYU's trying to avoid falling into a 5 seed. Watch it tonight, 9 Eastern on BYUtv and the BYUtv app. That right there is the nation's #1 rebounder, Lauren Gustin.
23 boards from the BYU single-season record.
She might get that tonight.
She
23.
might. Let's go. After the break, BYU radio analyst Mark Durrant discusses, if it matters, what seed BYU has going into Vegas, plus his Pez collection. This is BYU Sports Nation.
Introducing the truck for adventure. The all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier doesn't compromise on power or comfort. This midsize truck was redesigned to incorporate the latest technology and designs for safety, comfort, and convenience. Plus, with up to 6,700 pounds of towing capacity and best-in-class horsepower, it's rugged enough for adventure and still safe enough to transport all your favorite people. Where's your new Frontier? You'll find it at Tim Dowling Nissan Southtown and South Jordan.
Accidents don't just happen 9 to 5. They happen when you least expect them. The team at Siegfried & Jensen is here for you 24/7. Nights, weekends, every day, every hour. Really here for you. No matter when you call us, you'll speak to a real person and have access to the same expertise and personal attention as always, and get the legal help you need when you need it. Nights, weekends, every day, every hour, 24/7.
Learn more at SiegfriedandJensen.com.
No kid is that stubborn, right?
Bennett, let go of the rod!
Never! This kid is that stubborn.
We're the Scroogiest Scrooges ever!
Hey, people change.
I don't like people telling me what my limits are. is strong, but they rattle like an avalanche. We advance, lights go out like a shadow. Soon as it starts, and it's over. Round of applause for the closer. The opposers know exactly who we are. We're coming hard.
BYU's two seniors, Rudy Williams and Gideon George, on senior night coming up Saturday night, pregame on BYUtv, and postgame as well, coming up Saturday night. Jarom Jordan, Dave McCann, now joining us from his office/home with the largest Pez collection I've ever seen, is BYU radio analyst Mark Durrant on the program. Mark, what's up? Do you mind showing the people the Pez collection again? Because it's one of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. Here you go. We're panning. We're looking.
That's incredible, man.
Do you have that insured? Is that insured?
Are there any you don't have?
Yeah, there's plenty. It's amazing how many Pez there are. And, I mean, you go back 50, 70, 80 years. If you get some of those, then you're talking some money. Mine are low rent, but they're fun.
It's amazing that Pez collecting is a thing.
Well, my father-in-law does it, but yeah, we shouldn't compare to that. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Mark. It was great to talk to you. Just kidding. We're talking about what seed BYU could be depending on win-loss. San Francisco, obviously that all shakes out after Saturday night and after tonight's games and whatnot. BYU with the bye. But to you, and this is our question of the day, does it matter what seed BYU has going into Vegas?
Yeah, it matters to me. Vegas is a place about odds, right? And if you add on another game, your odds go down. And it's no guarantee for this team that a Thursday night game they're going to win anyway. And so, I'm not a gambler. I know Dave McCann's a big gambler, but I don't know.
From his degenerate Vegas days.
Just because I lived there doesn't mean I played there.
Dave ran that city for a few years.
Still does.
But I don't know, Dave. In the craps, if you get a 7, isn't that bad? I don't know, but regardless, in basketball tournament wise, a 7 is bad. You don't want to roll a 7, and not only is the seed bad, but it's how you got the seed. In order for BYU to be a 7, they have to have lost at home to San Francisco. That's the thing that really concerns me. So if you're a 7 seed, and that means you've lost 4 in a row, 5 in a row, and you lost at home to a team that should have been the 7, and that's not a good way to go in the tournament, regardless of how many games you have to play. But this team is kind of plays on a razor's edge a little bit. So the fewer games that you can play, the better your odds of actually doing something, I think.
Just for the record, I was at the Mirage yesterday, and I walked through the casino, and I have no idea what anyone's doing.
They said, Mr. McCann, come in. Here's the red carpet. Here's the penthouse suite. Here's your drink.
I had a bow tie.
That's how they treat the high rollers.
I had a bow tie on because I was emceeing something. People just hand me their car keys as I walk through.
Nice.
I'd like bring the black one up. Hey, San Francisco on Saturday is a strange matchup for BYU. They come in fearless, as they have in years past, and it's a big game for BYU. Talking about everything you're talking about in the seeding, it's almost like the tournament starts for BYU on Saturday, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly does. But this team, the funny thing about this team, Dave, is when I go into games, I feel like they could beat any team, and I feel like they could lose to any team. It's just I don't know what you're going to get from these guys. I hope, sometimes they get up for the big games, but have a hard time getting up for the littler games. And I'm worried in their minds, right, that they're going to think the hard games are, Saturday night, Monday night, and, if they're playing Thursday or Friday, that they might overlook that and get beat. So I hope that the focus is on just getting to, winning games and not thinking ahead and taking each team incredibly serious and have a lot of fear in your heart, because you've pretty much lost everybody at this point. But having some fear, playing with fear, which can be a good thing if there's not too much fear, and going out and playing hard. Because I think when this team plays hard and they offensive rebound and play good defense, then they're really good. But sometimes that doesn't translate for them. And so I hope, whatever day of the week in the tournament you're in, give that consistent, good, hard effort. And I think that they could be in every game, and maybe all the bad luck they've had this season will be rewarded with some good luck, and they win some close games and maybe win a couple games.
We're talking to the #1 charge leader in Provo High history, Mark Durrant, on BYU Sports Nation. I don't know if that's actually true.
I think it is true. As an Orem Tiger, I think it is
As an Orem Tiger, you would say that, yeah. Let's talk about the goal for BYU in Vegas. You said, hey, to do something. What is the goal for BYU in the West Coast Conference Tournament? Certainly we'd like to think that, hey, they could win it for the first time since 2001 in any conference tournament, but the reality is maybe a couple of wins, it would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird situation this year in that it's a season where I think anybody could win it to a degree. LMU, Santa Clara have a good chance to win it. Gonzaga, St. Mary's, obviously, but they're not invulnerable. They've shown some weaknesses, and so usually you're talking about BYU in that mix when there's a chance to win the tournament. We were doing that earlier in the season, that this may be the year that BYU could actually make a run. It would appear from the last couple of weeks that that's not the case, but if they can have a good practice this week, have a really nice showing against San Francisco, they go into Friday and have another nice game where they're playing consistently, maybe that gives them a little bit of confidence. And then you're playing in your mind, I think, for postseason, and that may be a little bit more of a motivation for the team. And like I said, they're in almost every game they play. They can win every game they play, so it's not completely unreasonable, even given what has happened, for BYU to be able to make a little bit of a run and get some confidence and play well. So I think for me, winning Friday and not getting in the Thursday game, winning Friday and Saturday, and then whatever happens Monday would be a successful tournament.
As a basketball fan, and there's games on every night, you turn them on, and every team has a center, it seems. Every team in the Mountain West Conference, every team BYU's played in the WCC has a guy in the middle big enough to cause a disruption, certainly to challenge Foose and BYU's guys. Is this still the result of losing your centers at the start of, losing Richie Harward when they did? Why hasn't BYU been able to find a center? The coach is 6'11", and how important is that for next season into the Big 12?
Yeah, I mean, it's typically never good when your coaching staff is taller than your front line. That was more so last year, I think, with Grant, with Coach Chris Burgess, and Coach Pope. But it's a real problem. I think you've identified a significant problem, Dave. And, let's not even talk about Big 12 and how obscenely tall and big and athletic they are. Let's just look at the West Coast Conference. And I watch, before every game, I watch the warm-up lines, and each team has like 4, 5, 7-footers. And you're like, where are all these guys coming from? And so they're out there. And BYU needs to find some very talented big men just to be able to throw bodies at people in the Big 12. Now, I think Atiki is big enough and athletic enough to play the 5 in the Big 12, but he and Foose will have to play together, or you'll have to find some other big men. Foose can't be playing the 5 spot like Jarom was talking about in the last segment. Foose has to be a 4. You have to have Atiki or some other big men coming in, and you have to be able to throw 3 or 4 or 5 big guys in there. And as much as I love Trayden Christensen, who's been playing great, by the way, when he gets in, he's not big enough. And if you get a guy in foul trouble, you can't go to a 6'6" guy. You got to be able to bring guys off the bench. If teams can do it in the West Coast Conference, BYU can do it. So that needs to be a real focus of their recruiting.
What else does BYU need going into next season to make sure they're an interesting team, a team that sniffs the bubble in some way?
Well, we talked about the big guys, but, I mean, it's really everybody. It's the guard line, too. And I think Dallin Hall is super, and he'll get better as he goes and will be competitive and be able to play just fine in the Big 12. Richie Saunders and some of these other guys will get better, but you need to bring in some super talented guard lines. As much as we talk about big men, the way you win games is on the guard line. And, again, when I go to the West Coast Conference, whether it's Shelton or Strother or Mahaney or the transfer at Santa Clara that I'm
Pajimski.
Yeah, I mean, there's few teams in the West Coast Conference that I don't think have a better player on the guard line than BYU does. And that's not to say BYU doesn't have good players, but they need the Barcelo types, the Toulson types, really terrific perimeter players to be able to compete in college basketball. And that's been a problem for them this year. There's been a lot of inconsistency, but they need to bring in really solid guards to be able to compete in the Big 12. That's just number one priority. Bring in super talented guards to complement the Dallin Halls and the Richie Saunders so you can compete at that level.
Do you think being in the Big 12 is enough to lure some of these kids to BYU? Let's be honest, the Cougars have not done well in the transfer portal the last 2 seasons. And now here comes the most important portal offseason before the Big 12. Is being in that league enough to get guys that'll come here and play, without coming here and saying, pay my price tag or I'm not even going to visit?
Well, it certainly won't hurt. I mean, that exposure is attractive. And people playing at that level, maybe you get some recruits that you've lost on in the past, because as much as the WCC has been a great landing spot for BYU, the reality is it's nowhere near the Big 12. And so maybe some people that was a hindrance or a stumbling block for them. Maybe they'll come to BYU now to know they're going to get that exposure, play against the best teams in the country, and that's attractive to guys. I don't know how much the NIL factors into it. I know that they're not going to get anything from me because I'm poor. Maybe Dave McCann can start a fund or something. I don't know. But they're going to have to at least be competitive in the NIL money with, the Iowa States and Oklahoma States. You can't expect to win games if you're not spending the money that other schools are spending. And so I think all of that goes into it. But it's going to be a challenge, as we've talked about many times. The landscape of college basketball has changed, and you need to adjust with it. But I'm hoping that the resources and the exposure that the Big 12 brings is going to make a real difference for BYU so that they can bring in those types of athletes and compete at that level.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. Make sure the goats are fed today. And, Mark, we appreciate the time, man.
Man, my goats, man. We got 2 feet of snow. I've never shoveled so much snow in my life. But those goats, they're not going anywhere out there today. It's too much snow.
Okay, thanks, Mark. We appreciate it.
The great Mark Durrant. We'll see you in Vegas. If you've missed any of our BYU TV Sports interviews, shows, games, our Deep Blues, which are fantastic, or if you just want to watch them again, you can at BYUSN.com, or download the BYU TV app to get all the BYU TV Sports content on demand. So Durant's got goats over at the house?
He's got goats over at the house. Yeah, he's got a nice place.
Superman.
Hey, Jason Shepard's been gallivanting across Louisiana, occasionally calling baseball games. We'll check in on the Batcats next, live from Louisiana. This is BYU Sports Nation.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
They prefer to be bringing the heat, getting set for success, demonstrating their drive. But when their blood and sweat turns to tears or anything else, we lay the groundwork for BYU's athletes to hit the ground running again, and you as well. Intermountain Healthcare, official medical provider for BYU Athletics.
Trio Orem Senior Living believes in empowering seniors to live life to the fullest. We help eliminate stress out of daily life when you live at Trio. Less time focusing on housework means you can socialize at one of our many events, with safety in mind, of course. And did we mention our spacious apartments with modern amenities? Learn more about setting up a private tour at trioorem.com.
If you're looking to build your brand awareness and increase market share as BYU moves into the Big 12, this is the place, BYU Athletics. We can provide the tools you need to make sure your company is seen and heard. BYU Athletics is where you can align your products and services with loyal fans that cheer for our Cougars. And they can also help your business win. Learn more about what a partnership with BYU Athletics and your company will look like. After all, this is the place. Email sponsorship at byu.edu today.
Home is just about to get a whole lot happier.
So you've been living with no furniture for about 2 months. Well, we're about to change that for you.
Watch as helpful folks lend a hand to those in need. See them refurbish and replenish homes all over the world.
Caitlin left her house when she was 13, and now she's finally home.
With all kinds of shows to explore on the BYUtv app, you're sure to find loads your family can watch together. Stream them all for free.
BYU Sports Nation, welcome back to interact with the show and get great content throughout the day. Follow us on our social media platforms on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok.
Well, the BYU baseball team, 2-3 on the season so far of their tour of Louisiana. They played Louisiana Tech in a series. Then last night began a 4-game series with the Louisiana Ragin' Cajun, which you can listen to on the BYU radio app. And Jason Shepard now joins us from Lafayette, Louisiana. Shep, how's your tour of Louisiana been so far?
Look, it's great. I realize that everybody back home is dealing with snowmageddon right now. We're expected to have temperatures in the upper 70s, low 80s today, but significant humidity. So, you know, we're dealing with that. So it's basically the same.
Really? You played the humidity card?
Good luck. Fight through that. I think you
yeah,
make it.
I'm going to do my best.
The last time Blaine and I were in Louisiana, BYU's football team didn't get past the 50-yard line. So the baseball team's at least having a better experience. But I tuned in last night coming home from the airport, and it's 3-1 in the bottom of the 8th inning, and then things got away.
Yeah, and unfortunately, errors have cost this team a couple of games. You know, the Cougars come in 2-3 overall. And in the losses, 7 of the 9 errors have been committed. And in talking with Coach Pratt this morning for our pregame for tonight, you know, he's like, we just have to stop beating ourselves. And, you know, the good thing is the team is playing hard. They're giving it their all. And so the little things are just that. They're little things. There's not big things that have to be changed right now. It's these little mental mistakes that are costing them. And, you know, he's pretty confident that they'll be able to turn that thing around and you know, pull out some of these victories moving forward.
Trent's in my stake. We have state conference Sunday. I fully expect him to be there. Please remind him if you wouldn't mind. 3 dudes are hitting over 400 so far, Ozzie Pratt and Austin Deming, Ryan Sapedi. Who of these guys is, if maybe all 3, maybe just one, is still going to be hitting 400 plus in a week?
Yeah, I mean, like at this point right now, with the way that they're swinging the bat and seeing the ball, I'm not going to put it past all 3 of them to stay as hot as they are. Look, Ozzie Pratt is exactly what you're looking for in the leadoff spot. He's a guy that gets on base, and then once he's on base, he can use his speed to work himself around the bases, regardless if there's a base hit or not. All 3 guys, now speaking of Deming and Sapedi, both have 2 home runs, and that leads the team. But one thing that those 3 players have done, and quite frankly, as a team, BYU Baseball has done in a pretty impressive fashion, has been hitting doubles. In fact, last night, there were 3 RBI doubles in the game by BYU. The Cougars right now, they're putting up some runs, and last night they were only able to muster the 3. But that has been last night was the exception to the rule. They've been scoring runs to open the season, and that is certainly a good sign.
Well, Trent Pratt, as we mentioned, is in Jarom's stake. I learned that today here on the show.
He did tell me. He says that that was one of the negative selling points to being where he is. By the way.
It's all geography. Last year he took over midseason, so this is his first start to a season as a Division I head baseball coach. What have you noticed from him as he marches through this time for the first time?
Well, first and foremost, and Dave, you're obviously around the baseball team, you know, calling the games on BYUtv. And one thing that's pretty obvious is just how much the players really like and respect Coach Pratt. And he's one of those guys, he demands a lot of you, but he also lets you do your thing. He's not going to He's not going to constantly be talking to you. If he needs to, he will. But he's going to let you be you. He's going to let you go out and do what he knows you're capable of doing. And the guys really respond to that. And before we went on this trip, and I've done this, over the last couple of years with Coach Littlewood, now with Coach Pratt, just kind of, even though I'm around the team and in practices and whatnot, just kind of have a one-on-one sit down with him before the season, just to kind of go over some big picture stuff. And, I asked him, I said, what's this like for you going into your first full season as the head coach? And he said he's really enjoying it. And there are a lot of things that when you're not the head coach, you're aware that the head coach does, but you see it from afar. And now that he's in that spot, he said there's a lot more involved than you realize, but he's really enjoying everything that comes with being the head coach of the BYU baseball team. And I can tell you that the players love him. His assistant coaches love him. And the Cougar baseball program is in very good hands with Trent Pratt.
We'll finish with this. How many times have you watched the Andy Reid interview from earlier this week?
Well, I will tell you at least twice that I've watched it. I've also listened to it a couple of times. I know Andy didn't actually say the win in the Super Bowl was dedicated to me, but I know in his heart that's what he meant. It was one of those things that he didn't have to actually speak about. It was just understood. So, I appreciate that from Big Red, which is what I call him because we're that tight.
Sure.
Yeah, we call him Andy because we're on a first-name basis.
Go with Big Red.
Yeah.
Will you please go on a swamp boat tour while you're back there in Louisiana, and then we can talk about it? It'll be the coolest thing you
were
ever
telling
do.
me that you and Blaine did that, and I'm gonna have to find some time. We'll see if there's time in between prepping and getting ready for the game.
If you don't join us until the third inning, we'll know that it's because you're on a swamp boat tour. It'll be worth it.
I texted Shep Saturday. I go, Albert Pujols is 20 feet away from me at Vivint Arena. He goes, I just said that on the air. We know you have time, Shep.
You have time.
I'm gonna see if I can make it happen.
All right.
Thanks, Shep. Best of luck on the call tonight. You can listen to the game, by the way, tonight.
7 Eastern on the BYU radio app. And again, Shep does a nice job. I was listening to him last night, painting the picture of us blowing a 3-1 lead at the bottom of the 8th. And I'm just like, for
Hopefully
the love.
Paint the picture of a swamp boat.
And Shep's living the dream. He's on the road. He's calling baseball and following the Cougs. The only thing that would be better is if Andy Reid was his analyst.
Yeah. I wonder where Shep went. I didn't know. Okay, coming up, is Keaton Slovis a top 3 transfer quarterback in college football? Who says he is already? This is BYU Sports Nation.
Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Whether you want to rock your retirement on the court, on the snow, on the waves, or in the gym. At Mountain America, we're here to help you get things rolling. Learn more at macu.com/retirement. Mountain America, guiding you forward.
BYU men's hoops dreams are flying high. But before hitting the hardwoods of the Big 12, they're shooting to leave their royal blue imprint on the courts of the WCC. Join us for BYU Sports Nation Game Day as we chat it up with Coach Pope on the team's growth, dive deep into player profiles, and keep it real on the Cougs' big dance chances. It's time to raise the spirited Y banner on our final tour of the WCC. BYU Sports Nation Game Day. Tune in, join us. Welcome back to BYU Sports Nation, live from Studio B. I am Jarom. He is Dave. Let's whip it. Cougar Whiparound is presented by Marist, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner.
How about this on this Thursday? According to CFB numbers, Kedon Slovis is projected to be the third best transfer quarterback this season when it comes to expected points added per play. They got this big graphic design. They come up with some numbers. Yep. There it is right there. Do you expect Kedon to be a top 3 transfer quarterback this year? You can see the Y right there at the top.
This is kind of comparing, the EPA from last year and the rating of the player in 24/7 Sports, that combination. Hopefully he's top 3. I would take top 10, honestly. There are a lot of big names on that list. Top 3 would be incredible. If he's top 3, BYU's winning 9 games.
Aaron Roderick believes he'll be top 3.
Yeah.
He thinks he can be among the best in the whole country running that system. And that system is why Slovis is here.
Yes, and John Beck has given us a lot of information in our last conversation about the health of Kedon Slovis. Shoulder and back are good to go.
Yeah, as healthy as he's ever seen him.
It's a prove I can be an NFL quarterback season for him. That's in the pros, like when you're in a contract year, this is a contract year for Kedon Slovis.
And that's why on March 6th, when spring practice starts, I just want to see him throwing the ball. Just to see the start of throwing to the receivers, building that chemistry. But these guys think third best quarterback transfer in the country this fall?
That would be awesome. March 31st, you can watch Slovis and the Cougs in the scrimmage, which would be a lot of fun.
If he's the third best, how many wins?
9+. I think 9+.
If he's the third best, 9+ wins.
Yes, because we need to see what the BYU defense is doing. We need to see how good Aiden Robbins is with that up. But like, if he's that good, trust me, 9-3 is
spectacular.
Spectacular in year 1.
That's gonna put you in the Sugar Bowl.
And BYU made the expanded playoff. No, it's not quite there yet, but that would be very exciting.
9-3 in the Big 12.
I'd take it right now. Yeah. I would sign up for that right. I'd probably sign up for 8-4 right now.
Yeah, I'd still be happy with 6.
Get to a bowl game. It's the standard in year 1. Okay, would a split with Portland and Gonzaga in women's basketball this weekend be good enough?
It would be, because it keeps them out of playing on Friday in Vegas. They're a game back of San Diego. San Diego has to play those same 2 teams. So the Toreros aren't going to beat Portland or Gonzaga. I think BYU has a shot. I think they have a shot to get Gonzaga more so than Portland. They just played them so tough up in Spokane. Yeah. And if Falatea is hitting her shots, she's the key. That's what point guards are. Yeah. She's the key, because Gustin's going to deliver her stuff, and they can get one of these 2. And then that puts them in 3rd or 4th in Amber Whiting's first season with a big recruiting class coming in. That's a good start.
Yeah, be top 4, absolutely. If you lose both, that would be disappointing. You're at home, take care of business with at least a split.
Or beat both of them, yeah, that'd be great.
We'd take that too.
We'll see you tonight. Round 1 tonight. Mm-hmm. Okay, Derwin Gray tweeted the following this morning, and Dewey's one of the great representatives of BYU across the board. He tweets, after a great conversation with Jack DeMooney, after much prayer and discussion with my wife Vicky, another former Cougar, with that being said, I've decided to commit to playing in the BYU football alumni game.
Nice.
Respect my decision.
We certainly do here.
Absolutely. Number 5's coming back.
Yeah.
Now, what number 5 is going to do on the field, that remains to be seen.
Yes. Listen, last year was very competitive. It turned into a under 35-year-old game. There were some of the kind of older alums that did not get into the game.
Aliva Hifo was the one making all the plays.
Yeah, it was the guy that was like dabbling with the NFL still. That's the guy that's making plays.
But the biggest play, Brian Keel catching that Hail Mary pass from Max Hall.
Which is wild.
I don't know how they top that, but
you can't top that.
We hear how they're going to. If the names are in place that we think are coming, that hasn't been announced yet, but Dewey Gray's been announced because he announced it himself. Yep. And not only that, he's going to be a great sideline interview for you.
He'll be fantastic. Yep, Spencer and I will be there.
So welcome back, Dewey Gray, to Lavelle Edwards Stadium, March 31st.
That'll be awesome. Okay, Washington State President Kirk Schultz said he reads Kansas State message boards to learn about the Pac-12 conference expansion conversation. Where do you think Tom Homeland and President Kevin J. Worthing get their expansion news from, besides BYU Sports Nation?
Well, that was my first choice. I know it's not social media, because those are all over the place. It's concerning that the president of Kansas State is getting his information, or that Washington is getting their information from the Kansas State
former
boards.
Kansas State president. Gotcha.
Yeah, there's a lot of information out there. It changes every day. Where do you think they're getting their information? I think they get it from
I know where
a phone
it's not
call.
from. It ain't from Cougar Board. I'll tell you that.
No. I think it comes straight from the Yormark office. Hey, here's what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, here's what we're going to do. Here's when we're going to do it.
Tom has tremendous Pac-12 ties. He worked at Cal and Stanford. He knows a lot of people over there.
He's not surfing the web.
Yeah.
Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Robbie Anderson legally changed his name to Chosen Anderson, which got us thinking, what are the best athlete name changes over the years? And he went with Chosen. I have a feeling he believes that that's going to get him more passes. But I'm a big fan of the Chosen, so I go, hey, go with that.
Nice plug. Many are called, but few are. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, Chad Ochocinco is a fun one. Ron Artest is, Meta World Peace.
When he went to Meta World Peace, I'm just like, he stopped being a basketball player. To me, because now World Peace is out playing.
Who is this guy?
Who is World Peace?
I didn't even know World Be Free's name. Lloyd Bernard Free. Pele is one of the great ones.
How about Ferdinand Lewis Alcindor Jr.?
Yeah.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Well, those ones were like religiously induced, right? Converting to Islam there with Cassius Clay and Chris Jackson to Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf.
I was in Vegas when Terrell Deshaun Smart went with He Hate Me in the XFL.
Yes.
And that was huge. He became one of the biggest names in town.
Yeah, and that wasn't a legal name change, but still. I didn't know Hulk Hogan's name until this. Terry Eugene, is it Balea? Yeah.
You had to change it because in Rocky, if a guy named Terry came into the ring, it just wasn't going to work. The Hulk had to come in.
Terry Tate, office linebacker, pretty awesome. I don't know. I'm questioning that one.
So, The Chosen.
Yeah. Season 3? You threw it yet?
It's going to be his first season.
Yeah.
It'll be season 1 for Chosen Anderson.
Absolutely.
In September. BYU Gymnastics taking on Utah State tomorrow night. All the spring sports in action this week. Live coverage on BYUtv starts at 9 o'clock Eastern.
Only men's volleyball seems to be not here.
Well, they're on the road for like a month?
Well, they play indoors. They can play. Yeah, they are on the road for like a month. And a rise and shout out to chocolate. This is BYU Sports Nation.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner.
Customer experience comes first. It's our focus. It's your expectation. We provide support to those that go the extra mile for all of us. Supplying products, training, and service for generations. Learn more at bradyindustries.com.
Here's the thing about BYU Sports Nation. It's a banner that unites fans all over the world. BYU TV and BYU Radio are all about bringing your family events and games live. On air, online, and on the free apps. It's the next best thing to being there, connecting your fandom with others across BYU Sports Nation. Download the apps and get exclusive access to analysis and interviews with players and coaches. BYU TV and BYU Radio, the place for all things Cougar sports. Tune in, join it.
This competition is going to be something else. You have to be able to break through those hard moments when it hurts the most.
Whatever you think you are capable of is true.
You're a fighter. Hold your head up. You know what you're capable of. We're all proud of you.
That's what makes a champion.
Let's go! Wow!
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics.
BYU Sports Nation is on demand. Download the free BYU TV app and BYU Radio apps, or listen to the podcast, subscribe, rate, and review the shows, please.
And if not, we'll keep doing the shows, but we would like a review. Time to set our fantasy basketball lineups for the week. I'm currently up 9-1. Spencer took the show off so we wouldn't have to deal with this, is what I was told. So what lineup is he going with this week that won't win?
This is where I have to be sensitive, because this is a runaway train. But Spencer's lineup, here's what he's going with. He's going with Nani Falatea and Ariel Mackey-Williams from the BYU women's basketball team. They have to have big games, especially Nani, for them to win this game. Never mind what Spencer's got going.
I would willingly lose this week for them to have massive games. Yes.
All right, Gideon George, who has struggled. I'd love to see Gideon have a big game Saturday just to finish up.
That'd be good.
After a season that's not been what he'd hoped. Spencer Johnson also. So he's got Gideon and Spencer. And then he's going with Alex Fowler, who's one of the best players in the league, from Portland as his opponent pick. That's a good choice. On paper, that's not bad. But then I look at yours.
Lauren Gustin, I may just play her, just her. Kaylee Smila, Foose, Rudy Williams. I'm playing Yvonne Ejim from Gonzaga, who may be the WCC Player of the Year. Might be Alex Feller as well.
And it possibly should be Lauren Gustin. If Smiler's your X factor. If she comes with 10, 12 points, BYU's going to win that game because she's...
Oh, you're talking about winning the game.
Winning the game.
I was gonna
but then that's going to benefit you because her performance will be
I was going to say, it doesn't really matter, Dave. It's all about Lauren Gustin. It really is.
I'm just saying you can get some help from Smiler.
Yeah.
And she can factor into the...
We did debate the following. If we just start doing a line. So I'm winning by an average of 24. So if I have to cover by 24 or not. We're not going into that
this week. Just remember, because football was just the opposite.
It was.
And you remember how you felt.
Well, I do remember winning the bowl game, which we said winner take all, which I thought was weird.
You did say that?
To say that?
That's how cocky and arrogant you can be. So remember, you're 10-1. Keep your feet on the ground.
Yeah.
Make some cognizant business decisions.
I'm defying gravity, man. We're going wicked here. Let's go. Question of the day. Does it matter what seed BYU basketball has going in to the West Coast Conference Tournament? Our elite voice of the day is this, presented by PAX, Healthcare Elevated, at CL_living. I think it should be a mustard seed. Just have a little faith, BYU fans. A little faith required for BYU. I would like a little bit of three-pointers as well.
I'd like a lot of three-pointers.
Yes, please.
Some rebounds. And I want a little bit of turnovers.
Yes, few turnovers. That's not been as big of an issue recently.
So some other comments. A lot of people just don't think it matters on the seed.
Yeah.
And we go back to what Mark said. The odds are your longevity in Vegas is if you can stay out of the casino. So stay out of the tournament on Thursday.
Tournament. Just get to Friday.
Get to Friday, and then your odds are better
5 or 6
Saturday.
Yeah.
But kind of like what he said, who knows with this group.
Yeah. Today's Rise Shout-Out presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics. I know you like this one. Chocolate Cougar Tails coming back for this week at the Marriott Center. Nice job, BYU Dining Services.
I don't know why they have to visit. I don't know why they can't come on in.
Yeah. Our thanks to today's guests, Mark Durrant and Chef.
Conversation continues 24/7 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. This and all of our shows on demand at BYUSN.com.
Sorry to Dennis, ran out of time. For Dave, I'm Jarom. Shout out to Melanie Johnson. See ya.